Welcome back to Superbly Said, Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Yeah, really glad to be diving into this one today.
Oh, absolutely. And for this deep dive, our source material is actually drawn from a SpeakDuo lesson.
Right, the one centered around that documentary, How the British Upper Class Live.
Exactly. And, just a quick shout out. You can go to speakduo.com to meet new people from around the world who are practicing English on video calls.
It's such a great way to become more confident with your English speaking abilities.
It really is. So today we are unpacking 15 advanced English idioms from that lesson. And we're not just reading a vocabulary list, right?
No, not at all. This is specifically for advanced English learners. We really want to get into the nuances.
Right, because at an advanced level, it's not just like math where you plug in a noun and a verb.
Yeah, you're learning the psychology behind the words.
So let's jump right in. The first set of phrases deals with effort and privilege. Let's start with to work one's guts out.
Yeah, that's a very vivid phrase.
It is. And, someone might wonder, why not just say to work hard? What's the difference?
Well, I mean, working hard is just it's standard, right? You work hard at your job, but working your guts out is physical. It implies you are pushing yourself to absolute exhaustion.
Like almost damaging.
Exactly. Your guts are your core, so you're giving it everything.
Right. So if you were in an IELTS speaking Part 2 exam and they asked about a time you achieved a goal, you wouldn't just say you worked hard.
No, you'd say, I worked my guts out to pass that certification. It shows the examiner you have a really deep grasp of English nuance.
Or talking to your boss, you could say, look, the team worked their guts out to meet this deadline. It demands empathy.
It really does. But then we have to contrast that with our next phrase from the source, which is handed on a plate.
Oh, yeah. And now this is the complete opposite. A lot of people might just say getting lucky, but that's not quite the same, is it?
No, because getting lucky is just random chance, like finding a $20 bill on the street.
Right. Totally random.
But handed on a plate implies a server. It implies a hierarchy and unearned status.
So it's like someone expecting a promotion just because their uncle owns the company.
Exactly. They expect it to be handed on a plate without doing the actual work.
But, privilege isn't always easy. Which brings us to our third phrase, a tarnished silver spoon.
This one is fascinating.
It really is, because everyone knows the phrase born with a silver spoon, right? Meaning you're born rich, but tarnished.
Yeah, the tarnish changes everything.
I like to think of it's like winning a massive historic mansion in a lottery, but then realizing the property taxes and the repair costs are going to bankrupt you.
That is a perfect analogy. It's inheriting something that looks like a privilege from the outside, but it actually brings huge burdens or debts.
So people envy you, but you're actually crapped.
Right. You can't even complain about it because everyone just sees the silver spoon.
Wow. Okay, so how do we treat people who have these advantages? That leads to phrase number 4, to mollycoddle someone.
Yes, to overprotect or pamper someone way too much.
Now, a simpler alternative is to nurture. What's the subtle difference there?
Nurturing is positive.
Yeah.
You're giving someone the tools to grow and be independent.
Like a good manager training a new employee.
Exactly. But to mollycoddle is negative. It means protecting someone so much that you actually make them weak.
Right, like a parent hovering over a teenager so they never learn to do their own laundry.
Or a boss who never lets a junior colleague handle client complaints. You'd say, we can't keep mollycoddling him or he'll never learn the ropes.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So moving on to our next theme, what happens when people from completely different backgrounds interact? The phrase here is two worlds colliding.
I love how cinematic that sounds.
Right. You could just say people meeting, but colliding has so much more energy.
It implies friction. It's when vastly different cultures or groups suddenly interact, and it's not a smooth transition.
Like in the SpeakDuo lesson, with a modern journalist visiting this archaic British aristocracy, or even just, a traditional corporate executive having a meeting with a weird Silicon Valley startup.
Yeah, the cultures are just slamming into each other.
But it doesn't have to be a disaster, right? If you use our next phrase, which is to put preconceptions to one side.
Which is very different from just keeping an open mind.
How so? Because they sound pretty similar.
Keeping an open mind is sort of passive, but putting preconceptions to one side is an active effort.
Oh, I see.
You're acknowledging that you have biases and stereotypes, and you deliberately choose to ignore them before experiencing something new.
Like traveling to a country you've only heard negative news about and making that active choice to just experience it fresh.
Exactly. And that effort is what leads to phase number 7, to find common ground.
Now wait, is that just the same as compromising?
Not at all. Compromise means you both lose something to reach an agreement.
Ah, okay.
But finding common ground is discovering a shared interest without giving anything up.
So, like, two coworkers who hate each other's political views, but they bond over a shared obsession with cycling?
Yes, you didn't surrender your beliefs, you just found the human overlap.
But to find that, you need phrase number 8, to make someone tick, meaning to understand what motivates them.
Right.
I do have to push back a little, though. Doesn't that sound kind of mechanical, like manipulating a clock?
It can sound that way, sure.
Mm.
But in practice, especially in communication, it's actually about deep empathy.
Okay, walk me through that.
Well, it's about noticing the small details. If you're a boss, figuring out what makes your team tick means you notice that one person loves public praise, while another person just wants extra time off.
So it's not manipulating them, it's understanding their unique energy source.
Exactly. Which helps you achieve the next phrase, to be on the same page.
Now, this one I hear all the time at work, but it's not just agreeing.
No, it's having a shared foundational understanding of reality.
Like an orchestra, all reading the same sheet music before they start playing.
Right. You might not agree on how to fix a failing project yet, but you are on the same page that it is, in fact, failing.
Perfect. Okay, let's pivot to our final section. This is about depth, commitment, and coping. Phrase number 10 is to scratch the surface.
This is a great one.
And it's so much deeper than saying to just begin. I always think of it like a book.
Okay, how so?
Well, just beginning is reading chapter 1, but scratching the surface is like only reading the summary on the back cover of a 1,000-page novel.
Oh, yeah. That really shows the scale.
Like if you take a weekend coding boot camp, you might quickly realize you've barely scratched the surface of actual computer science.
It's a very humbling phrase. But sometimes you have to simplify that complexity for others, which is phrase 11, to dumb something down.
Right. So taking that same 1,000-page novel and rewriting it for a toddler, but doesn't dumbing down sound kind of insulting?
It definitely can be if you're talking down to someone. But it's often a necessary act of translation.
Like how?
Well, think about a specialized aerospace engineer trying to explain their job to friends at a dinner party.
Oh, right. They have to drop the jargon.
Exactly. They have to dumb it down to make it accessible. Otherwise, the knowledge is just locked away and it becomes set in stone for the elite.
Which is phrase 12. Set in stone. Meaning fixed and unchangeable.
And we usually use it in the negative to create relief.
Yeah, like if a manager says, hey, the travel dates aren't set in stone.
Right. It instantly lowers your stress. It means you have flexibility.
And with that flexibility, you can start to grow and use phrase 13 to take oneself seriously.
Yes. Treating your work and your time as important.
But we should clarify, that's not being arrogant, is it?
No, arrogance is thinking you're better than everyone else. Taking yourself seriously is an internal milestone.
It's like beating imposter syndrome.
Exactly. It's an artist finally selling a painting and saying, okay, I'm taking myself seriously as an artist now. It's not a hobby anymore.
But the irony is, caring that much opens you up to phrase 14, a dagger through the heart.
It's a very dramatic phrase, isn't it?
Very Shakespearean. But you can't just say you were disappointed.
No. Disappointed is when your favorite coffee shop is closed. A dagger through the heart is when you work your guts out on a novel for 5 years and every publisher rejects it.
Yeah, it's devastating emotional pain. And when you feel that, or if you're just overwhelmed, you might need our final phrase, to duck out.
Meaning to leave quietly and quickly.
Because leaving normally means shaking hands, saying goodbye, and walking out the front door.
But ducking out is a stealthy retreat.
Right. You physically lower your head, you give a quick excuse, and you just escape out the side door before anyone notices.
It's the ultimate social survival tactic for a boring meeting.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, but before we wrap up, we want to do a quick quiz to help lock these phrases in for you.
Yeah, this is a great way to test your understanding.
I'm going to read a question with 3 options, A, B, and C.
And feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer before we give it away.
Right. So, question 1. Which sentence uses the idiomatic phrase to work one's guts out correctly based on context? Option A. The professional medical gastroenterology surgeon was instructed to work one's guts out during the clinical abdominal procedure. Option B. The deeply frustrated young retail clerk aggressively managed to completely drop a white line. Or option C. Knowing that the acquisition deadline was only a week away, the entire engineering division worked their guts out to ensure a flawless software release.
Feel free to pause the audio here if you need a moment.
And the answer is C. The engineering division worked their guts out.
Right, because to work one's guts out is about putting in that extreme, exhaustive effort for a deadline, not literal surgery.
Exactly. Okay, question 2. Select the context where the phrase "to scratch the surface" is most appropriately used figuratively. Option A. Although we spent 3 hours analyzing the financial statements, we realized we had barely scratched the surface of the company's underlying debt structure. Option B. The professional furniture refinishing carpenter was instructed to scratch the surface during the antique wooden table sanding session. Or option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly buy some large systems.
Again, feel free to pause the audio here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is A. They barely scratched the surface of the debt structure.
Because it's about only understanding a tiny fraction of a massive, complex issue, just like the 1,000-page novel we talked about.
Yep. Okay, question 3. In which situation does someone accurately utilize the advanced phrase "a tarnished silver spoon" contextually? Option A. The professional antique silverware polishing specialist was instructed to check if the cutlery was a tarnished silver spoon. Option B. Inheriting the historic family estate turned out to be a tarnished silver spoon, as the property came with crippling maintenance debts and tax burdens. Or option C. The completely terrified young wilderness traveler unexpectedly noticed an exceptionally massive, heavy tool chest.
Feel free to pause the audio here to think it over.
The answer is B. Inheriting the estate was a tarnished silver spoon.
Exactly, because it looks like a huge privilege from the outside, but it secretly brings crippling debts.
It's like the mansion lottery analogy. Okay, question 4. Which response best demonstrates the advanced phrase "two worlds colliding figuratively"? Option A. When the traditional corporate executives met with the eccentric Silicon Valley startup founders, it truly felt like two worlds colliding in the boardroom. Option B. The professional planetary astronomy research scientist was instructed to observe two worlds colliding during the stellar simulation. Or option C. The incredibly clumsy warehouse inventory clerk accidentally managed to quickly catch that white balance.
Pause the audio here if you need a second.
And the answer is A. The traditional executives and the startup founders.
Right, that perfect example of the jarring friction when vastly different cultures interact.
All right, question 5. How would a professional accurately use the phrase to find common ground contextually? Option A. The professional real estate land surveying contractor was instructed to find common ground during the property boundary assessment. Option B. The completely confused amateur theater group unexpectedly decided to proudly paint a clean frame. Or option C. Despite their initial ideological disagreements during the negotiations, both diplomatic teams managed to find common ground on trade regulations.
Remember, you can pause the audio here if you need to.
The answer is C. The diplomatic teams managed to find common ground.
Yes, discovering that shared interest or agreement despite major differences without just compromising.
Spot on. Okay, question 6, almost done. Which scenario perfectly illustrates the meaning of the phrase "to duck out contextually"? Option A. The professional wildlife conservation duck hunting guide was instructed to duck out of the blind during the migratory bird survey. Option B. Finding the 3-hour strategy meeting thoroughly unproductive, he quietly ducked out through the side exit before the final closing remarks. Or option C. The incredibly clumsy hotel maintenance worker accidentally managed to completely drop that red tray.
Feel free to pause the audio here if you're thinking about it.
The answer is B. He quietly ducked out through the side exit.
The ultimate stealthy escape from a boring situation.
And finally, question 7. Which sentence accurately utilizes the advanced phrase "handed on a plate" contextually? Option A. He expected the executive leadership position to be handed on a plate simply because of his family connections, but the board required rigorous testing. Option B. The professional restaurant catering dining waiter was instructed to have the meal handed on a plate during the banquet service. Or option C. The deeply confused young kitchen assistant accidentally dropped the food.
Go ahead and pause the audio here for this last one.
The correct answer is A. He expected the position to be handed on a plate.
Right, expecting that unearned privilege just because of status rather than working for it.
All right, that wraps up our quiz. So, taking a step back, this stack of 15 idioms really isn't just about vocabulary.
No, not at all.
From the burdens of a tarnished silver spoon to the relief of ducking out, it's a vivid roadmap for navigating human behavior. It helps you think more precisely about your life, your effort, and how you perceive others.
Exactly. Because language isn't just a passive tool for description. It's an active tool for perception. The words you use define the boundaries of what you can actually understand,
That's so true.
which leaves us with something quite profound to consider today. If language truly shapes our reality, and two worlds are constantly colliding in our hyper-connected society,
Yeah.
we have to ask ourselves, is our frequent inability to find common ground simply because we haven't taken the time and done the active work to learn what truly makes the other side tick?
Wow. That is a really challenging question to leave everyone with. Something to definitely mull over the next time you find yourself interacting with a world vastly different from your own.
Absolutely.
Well, until next time, keep listening, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.